Hi, this is Mia. I have some homemade raw chocolate melting on the keep warm cycle of my toaster oven or my convection oven, whatever you call it. I just want to share a couple things. I'm looking at my bills that are due on the 1st, and my paycheck was like $400, and I was like expecting 100 something more than that. I know my taxes were probably like 40, but I was expecting a lot more, and I was like, ooh, I better double check this. I thought I added it up a different way, although actually I did take one day off. Maybe that has something to do with it. Yeah, anyways, this is new for me to have a job, and it's not paying what my career is supposed to pay for, like as a physician. I'm waiting for my board results to come back, and I'm keeping the faith, but I just want to cry about the possibility that it could be an F. I'm keeping the faith that God guided me, like I asked for prayer, to study just the right stuff, and to not to overstudy like I've done in the past, and to study exactly what I need to study as far as keeping it simple, going through the herbs, going through the homeopathy, going through the phys med and all that, and just knowing that I'm not going to be going into depth. I mean, even if you study every single hundreds of herbs, still they put stuff on that I didn't understand, or I felt there's more than one right answer. I've been debating, because I know that we have food money on Wednesday, and I've been debating I haven't been debating, I'm saying I'm not going to store till Wednesday. I'm waiting for 4 births this month. It's already almost in September, though. I think that first one's not till at least 2 weeks in, though. But you never know if someone's going to be a week early. So that will put it in about the first week. And I have classes the next 2 weeks. I had gone to church for 10 years. For the past 10 years. Except for the past year, I went several times, but not regularly, because I was not enjoying the churches that I was visiting. Wasn't feeling very connected, and I tried to go to the potluck and stand outside and get there early they would have fruit and tea and stuff. I tried to talk to people. There's people I knew from the community I attempted to talk to. I couldn't do it, but my neighbor was going for a short time. I started going by myself after that, and I was sending her. My daughter was going with her when I had class with her kids, and then they went to the soup kitchen downtown together. So I was like, oh, this is good to try to be a part of a community that we could do some changes and help out our city and our county. And actually, it might be, I'm in an area where there's 3 counties really connected, close to each other. So it's kind of confusing thinking about that, but there's Tri-County area here. And I just made that term up. It's not really called a Tri-County, but I live like on a triangle. I was going to the coverage today, and I was thinking about, oh, this sucks. I used to go to church for 10 years, and then I stopped being able to find a place. They physically told us not to come to this church because we would never fit in, and I ignored it. But then my kids heard the youth pastor say this over and over again, and I asked for prayer, and I asked for support. They weren't telling us about the youth program, so my kids couldn't even get involved with people their age because they refused to invite the entire church. And we had been there 10 years. Several years they missed, even while we were there, of the youth group. Sometimes it was because I had clinic on Wednesdays. Couldn't go to the regular youth, but my daughter started going. I think they started in 7th or 8th grade, something like that, just to test it out, and then transition out of the children's church on Sunday morning, which she loved. And she ended up, when they transitioned her out, pretty much she ended up just being a Sunday school teacher. So when we stopped going, it was like we were no longer Sunday school teacher, either of us. And I just tried to talk to every leader to say, please, we don't want to stop coming to this church, but people keep telling us to stop coming, and it's messing up. Like me, I'm just like, these are humans. They're not in control of whether I come to church or not. They can say all they want, have their opinions, and it's like, I'm a student. I have school 5 to 7 days a week. I'm a single mom, yet I'm traveling 30 to 40 minutes to get to the church. But that's because I wanted to not have changes. I kept my kids in the same school for many years. It's like I moved 10 times in 10 years. So it's like the church was far away, but it was the one stable thing that we had besides their school. And after all those issues happened with the church, the kids kind of fell apart. I fell apart. And it's like a disaster. So before I stopped going, I asked God for months, is this the right decision, or is it clouded by evil or confusion? And it was revealed to me, besides a lot of crooked, hypocritical, and illegal behavior that was going on in that location, and unbiblical behaviors, and a lot of unbiblical, like, I could write a whole book as thick as the Bible about that place. And I ignored that. I said, I don't have to be like those people, and I can read my Bible and have a direct relationship with God and still be a part of His fellowship, but I don't have to act like them. I can act like how God wants me to act, and I can, every time I would participate in donating, I never told them extra donations that I was giving extra churches. Me and my kids were volunteering and involved. We were involved in other churches, youth programs, when they were under teenage years, because we were not able to connect with them. They would always show PowerPoint videos on Sunday of all those events that took place all week. And they're like, oh, this was a great time. We called all the kids and all their parents and made sure that they knew that this activity was going on. And we if they didn't call us back, we called them and we emailed them and we bugged them until they responded. And I was like, nobody called me one time. My number's been the same since 2004. I've had 2 phone numbers since 2004. One home, one cell, and my kids have a cell. My email hasn't changed since, like, I don't even know, 2002, some ridiculous time I got my email address. Like, nothing has changed. I was just like, well, maybe I was teaching, because teach Sunday school, you miss all the announcements. I'm like, oh well, but it's like, ain't nobody called me. Like, let me check my messages, let me check this, no text. And it just happened over and over again the further along. And I had actually volunteered with a bunch of stuff, and they refused to let me. One of my friends, there's one other person who was a single mom there, she had said, how come they don't let you be a leader? It's like, you go to all the churches on Sunday, you go to all the Wednesday nights, you go to all the prayers, woman prayer Thursday, you go to all the extra praying they used to do on Mondays. Like, you go to every leadership class, every conference when they have conferences in this city and in the state. I went to all of those, and she's like, and a lot of them were leadership conferences, like, oh, if you're a leader, you have to go to this, or else I'm going to kick you off the team, and they would threaten us. I wasn't even a leader, but I went, because I'm just like, well, I've been a part of this place, and I've been always working under someone else. I was like, I want to be ready for opportunity when God gives it to me, but I know that they didn't give me opportunity because I was single and black and had 2 kids, and I know that they felt that that was an appropriate leadership quality in a church. They want married couples, and they wanted white married couples. And it was very it was so obvious, and there's a lot of words that were said behind closed doors about their anti-diversity. And I know from both main pastors, many anti-diversity, and they grew up in a family of anti-diversity. So the whole point was, there's 2 things. I was in the kitchen cleaning, and I was, sorry, my nose like itches because I was eating something that had sugar in it. Anything I have allergies to, my nose starts itching. I run out of money. I have a job, don't make much. Try to ask my relatives for a little support. And I just had to call back and ask again. And that happened at church. We had no money, no food for Thanksgiving. We weren't going to have any money until January. Like the 1st or 2nd week of January. And from Thanksgiving to January, we weren't going to have any food money. And we asked, please, can we have, I know you guys sometimes give people like $30 or something to get groceries or to help us with, and they're like, I'm like, I need this for my kids. I feel bad asking, but I don't want to be without it. And they're just like, well, if you really want it, then call us a different day and say the same thing you just said. And I was like, please. I was like, it's really hard for me to ask. And I waited for you an hour after church. This is a youth pastor. And he's like, nope, call us back. And I was sick. I wanted to puke. And I was just like, fine. We went years having popcorn for Thanksgiving and Christmas until I stopped being able to eat popcorn because I'm allergic to it. We spent years, literally. I kind of miss that. I miss popcorn. I gotta get my chocolate on. I know the timer went off. So I'm going in the cupboards looking for some. I was like, me and my daughter are both looking for vinegar. Coincidence. In the past 2-3 days, she asked for it. I was looking for it the other day, and then I found some, and it says Best Buy of 2012, and I found some other stuff I had in my emergency kit, because I was a slight prepper, survivalist type person, because I'm like, we've got so little help, and we ask people that have a lot of money that announce to you and in front of entire groups, like such as church, that if you need help in a situation, come to us, because you're a tithing member, and whatever, and it's like, when you ask, they say no. So I was just imagining, what if there's a disaster? We would have nothing. And it's like, I found a bunch of brown sugar. I was like, oh my gosh, brown sugar. What the heck am I going to do with brown sugar? My daughter they used to eat it plain, and people would be like, never let your kids eat that. But it's got all these, it's the same as molasses. But molasses doesn't have the sugar crystals. It's like all the nutrients that are like iron and calcium and magnesium and all the trace minerals and metals like, copper and stuff. The whole point of this was I look at the clock and I said, oh, I used to be at church at this time and now I'm at home doing dishes and doing this. I'm like, dear God, please forgive me. I felt that you haven't sent me to the new place yet, or you haven't sent me a person who can guide me to that new place yet. And that is a real thought. And I know several people that left a church before. I talked to them personally as friends, a little bit friends. It was hard to make friends, but 100% of the people that I became friends with that weren't excluding me and my kids, they all left the church. They're just like, this place is messed up. They didn't say that, but they had some major issues. One of my friends was Asian, and we were the only non-whites. And our kids got along really well, mainly my son and her son. And they told me how much their kid, they lived near the pastors, and the pastor's kids were really mean to her kids. On the bus and at school, and it was just heartbreaking to me that you can't control pastors' kids, but it's just heartbreaking to see that that racism. These are non-whites, Asian people. It's like you see it so clearly. They preach. I got 100 sermons on CD. I've spent $100 on sermons, and I'm sick to my stomach because, like I said, that. They didn't like the neighborhood they were in. They said most people were from Eastern Europe and from Mexico in that neighborhood. And they're just like, this isn't the people. These aren't the people for our church. It's like, if you recruited those people to come into church, because most of those people, the Eastern Europeans and the Hispanic, they're walking up and down the sidewalk all day Sunday, and they're on the bus and they're traveling. It's like, if that was my church, I would be out there. I would send people out there Sunday, or I'd take the whole church out there Sunday and invite them to come and eat some food and give out flyers and put their kids in the daycare and play with them, or the Sunday school. I would not. First of all, you don't have to recruit people just to recruit people, but those people aren't stereotypically have faith in God. Let's just put it that way. Believe in God and were raised in the church. Maybe some were Catholic, or maybe some were in those Eastern European religions. However, I just wanted to say that I've had personal conversations with them not liking these non-white people or these non-American white people, and it was sickening. And that's when I started saying the behavior that are treating me and my kids and my friend who's Asian. She just said the same thing, like she couldn't get involved. The people were not at a level of Christianity maturity that she needed as far as prayer and faith in the Lord and following the Bible with your behavior, with your work ethic, with your honesty. She was sick that she couldn't be surrounded by people with any type of real Christianity behavior. It's just like, yeah, we dress up and come to church and participate in a car wash for the youth and send the kids out on a pizza party and a bowling night, but it's like, what are they really doing? Is it a social club, or is it something where you're actually being directed by God to be filled with Holy Spirit and to do the works of heaven on earth? And I added that stuff, and I know she was just having a bad connection, and I was buddies with her, and she was like, I need to go somewhere else. I can't be treated poorly because I'm not white. So she went to a church, an Asian church in her language, and she was taking her kids, and it was sad because her kids didn't know the language, and it was in her language, her original country language. But she's like, oh, it kind of sucks. So the kids just sit there. They don't know what their sermon's about. But she's like, I had to do something. It's just like you feel like you're unwanted. And the pastors will try to say that it's the church that's your fault. I mean, that it's the devil lying to you about being unwanted. But when they tell you to your face and they tell you that these non-white people aren't wanted in this place of worship, and when they tell you all this other stuff and they purposely don't invite your kid, even when you ask them, please let us know, please let us know, and they'll call like, oh, we're having a Christmas party in 10 minutes, and it's like, oh, gee, thanks for telling me. I live an hour away. By the time my kids, I was like, do you want to go? By the time they don't know what they're supposed to wear, they're not supposed to know if they're supposed to bring a gift or food. We got to go an hour to get there, and it's like, you just tell us 5 minutes before it starts. I was like, look at the clock, it starts in 5 minutes. You're telling me this? Oh, thanks for telling me. My kid doesn't want to show up at a Christmas party an hour late. It's just like, it's rude. And it's just like, maybe they actually did forget, but why not invite? There was like 12 youth maximum. Why not invite every one of them and make sure you announce it? Don't announce it secretly. They're calling people in advance. And they're telling them when it is and where it is and what to wear and what to expect and how long it's going to last. And then they're not telling certain people. They're telling a select few people, and I don't want to talk about them. My problem is my friend that was Asian and all the other friends I made friends with, they publicly announced, which goes on recording and on the website, all these problems these people had, and that they were believing lies in the devil, and that they had an attitude problem, and they had this, and they had that. None of it was true. The thing was, the pastor's wife would get the gossip, and she was foreign. She would twist it, because she didn't understand our language. She would twist stuff so bad. She would make up stuff. She was making up stuff about my kids, gossiping to everyone. This is what happened when I first started in 2004. She was gossiping to everyone. I started actually in 2003. Yeah, because it was 10 years. 2013 I stopped, a year ago. It sickens me. I've heard it before. And it's like, you get a list, and you're like, I want to pray for these people. This is happening. They have cancer. Their kid has got some disease. Their kid has gotten a fight or got pregnant or this or that or the other. That's fine to pray for them as a loving, like, family member with the same faith. But you don't go, then you go, she goes around making up junk, getting stuff wrong, and then spreading it around like gossip. Having a prayer group is kind of like 12-step meetings. You keep it to yourself. You might say, oh, to one of the leaders who wasn't there, can you please pray for this family? I don't want to go into details. If you want to tell them that you're praying for them, to be supportive, and if they want to talk to you, then go call them. Like, let that family talk to you. Just say you're praying for them in general. Like, you don't go around making up stuff. And they made up so much stuff about me and everyone else. And it's like this Asian lady, they did like half a sermon on how she was clouded by the devil and all this evil and all this stuff. And they didn't even know. There was a bunch of weird stuff going on in her family. They didn't even know any of it because they don't listen. They don't listen when you have a problem and you need some advice or prayer. And it's ultimately up to God. They can give you as much advice, but if people come together realistically in their heart, believing in the Lord, and then they pray, and then you hear answers, that's one thing. But it's not about them telling you need to do this, this, this. And I have a lot of problems in my own house because they helped us move. They made so many rude comments about stuff. They threw away all these important things. And like, I had all these records from my mom, my kid's grandma, about her ancestry as a Native American Indian. I cannot find it anywhere. Like, stuff like this, half my dishes, pots and pans, the lids and all the pieces are thrown away. I had some opals and some jewelry and stuff all gone. Either they stole it or they threw it away. Or just said this person's a slob. It's like, you move 10 times in 10 years and be a single mom and never have a week off and never have any breaks with your kid. Like, your kids are always home when you're home. It's just like, you clean up one half the house, throw out a bunch of stuff, and the kids like just demolish the second half. And it's like, you're better off just sitting down and watching a movie with them. Because like, one side of the house clean and the other demolished is worse than just having it kind of untidy. It was like, oh my gosh. It's just like, could have wished sometimes that someone would take the kids to get ice cream or something, and then you could just like, and usually when that happens, like, oh, it happens once every 10 years. I just pass out on the floor, sleep, because I'm so like, oh, someone has my kids. And then the doorbell's ringing an hour later, oh, they're back. I was like, oh, I was supposed to clean the entire house and vacuum everything and scrub the floors and do the laundry and clean out their old clothes and do this and do that, dust and clean the windows. It's like, oh, I guess that was just me time. Then we'll have to figure that out. It's like, they stay up till middle of the night and wake up at 4 in the morning, try to get stuff done. And I was getting stuff done. It was mostly schoolwork and laundry down in the laundry room. We had to pay a whole bunch of money. And I just wanted to say, the last year I was in a church, 2-3 years, I predicted anytime I prayed to God about something, He told me what to do, I would bring it up with the pastor's wife, and she would say the complete opposite of what God told me to do. And then she would get all twisted, and she would make up stuff, and the next week she would talk to me about it with a made-up story, and I was just like, you got it wrong, buddy. And every week, the night before I had this conversation with her, God would tell me exactly what she was going to say. And she said it. And it got really predictable. And it's like, it's almost like I tested her for a few more months and just like, I would say one sentence. Oh, how's your kid? Oh, well, my son's having a hard time dealing with this. Or he's bored in school. Or this. As I already heard, God's guidance was like, give love to your child and support and help him get at a more advanced level that he's on. And she would be like, and I wouldn't even, it was shocking stuff she would say, and I wouldn't even flinch because it was like already revealed to me. And she even said that when I was publicly praying, when we do prayer groups, when I was praying out loud as a group, she was like, you were spot on with what I feel like God wanted you to say, and the situation, like your prayer was like really spot on and everything. And I'm usually really quiet and keep to myself, and I want to learn from you. To listen to you, I want to learn from you, and then once you get me talking, I won't shut up. And I know, predictably, and the way that they did every single person, almost 100% of the people that I made friends with, the other people that weren't friends with me or my kids, 100% of the people I made friends with, they kicked them out. It's like, as soon as I finally made friends with people, start calling them, hanging out at their house, talking about the Bible and where we grew up and kid stuff and what they're, usually they were all pretty much working class, not working. The people at the church were either jobless or working class. These people were professionals with a college degree, it's advanced, not just bachelor's, but beyond bachelor's degree, advanced certificates, teaching and all that stuff. Every one of them got kicked out. I was like, what happened to them? I was starting to really like those people. What happened to them? And they did the same thing to us. And they spent the summer before I left. I think it was that summer, the summer I left. They spent the entire summer talking about how much they hate doctors. I think, yeah, and then for several months before that, except for that summer, they said how much they hate doctors. It looked like he's looking right at me, because I was 1 year from getting my doctorate degree for medicine. For a year before that, they spent talking about how stupid you are to go to college. And you should go to college because you should send your kids to college because that's the social thing to do, but that it was stupid and that it was worthless. And like all of the people in the church were jobless, they had no skills, and they live in lower income housing than I did. Not that I'm not judging them, I'm just saying that he scolded people for going to college and to go for a career path and to work hard and become successful. Whether, even if you don't go to college, but if you want to become a real estate agent, or if you want to become a business owner, why not take class? I mean, he and his wife went to college and went to multiple colleges. They became business owners. They had professional careers. They went to Bible school, all these different things. So they were basically saying the opposite, but they're like, well, I'm planning on sending my kids to college because that's a social thing to do, because it's like a status. They're suburban. It would be not cool to just send your kid to work, driving a pizza truck or whatever. To them, it was like a status. Oh yeah, my kid's in four-year university, but he just saw how stupid it was, and how you don't need to do that, and how you don't need to waste that time, and how people that are educated think they're better than anyone, and they just think that they're so smart that they don't need God, and they're atheists and all this stuff. I was like, you're an idiot. Yeah, it's like, there's many people that God says, get your butt to college and continue to worship me and continue to be loving and read your Bible. And it's not about, like, there's a lot of sailors that aren't Christian, and there's a lot that are. There's a lot of military people that aren't Christian. There's a lot that are. There's a lot of college people that aren't Christian. There's a lot there's like a lot of teachers that aren't Christian, doctors, all that stuff. There's a lot that are. It's just that doesn't have anything to do with what God's plan is for their life. God prepped me for college from junior high on. I was interested in it before that because I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't really know anything when I was in elementary school, but I knew I wanted to go be a doctor. And then I found out you had to go to college to be a doctor. I started going to all the meetings, and it was God ordained. Predictably, I know, because they sent me nasty emails saying that I'm clouded by the lie of the devil, and that's why I think I'm imagining that these people are telling me not to go to church. They told me and my kids, my son first stopped going after he heard it several times. My daughter stopped going, and then I went out to eat with him one time because I asked for a prayer, and I started crying about my kids, and then they're just like, you shouldn't go. You need to find a church where you live and stop coming here, because you're never going to fit in. And so I was just like devastated, and then they bought me a salad, and then I never talked to them again, because I was like, and this guy that was a youth leader, he was like a pervert. I wouldn't be surprised if he got caught being a sex offender. So that's the thing about getting caught and actually doing it, because I have proof. God knows I have experienced and witnessed his behavior, and it sickens me. And I never wanted my kids at his house, so I didn't push that whole youth thing. I didn't try to be like calling up a whole bunch of other parents, and be like, oh, where's the party, where's this, where's that, because that guy was in charge, and he was creepy, and his wife kept quiet for him. His wife kept hush on the down low about his behavior, and they used to work in the building next to me, and I hung out there a few times, and I was creeped out. I was really creeped out. I was creeped out the first time I went to their house. I just want to say that. But I said I wasn't going to judge anyone. That's up to God. But I wanted to protect my kids. But they had the audacity to tell me that I'm clouded by a devil, when us other people are false. They have pretense. They're false. They're not legit. And I prayed for justice to be done. After I left, I said, I don't care about me and my kids anymore. I do. But I said, I don't care about our relationship with those people because they clearly don't like us. But I said, let justice be done. And then I saw a group email sent out saying that pervert was no longer the youth leader. And I was like, answer to my prayers. And I got another message saying, oh, they had family time they needed, the new baby and all that stuff. And I was like, I felt like God ultimately wins, whether somebody's 100% for God or not. God ultimately somehow got that guy to pick up the phone and be like, I'm done. Either that, or pastors lied about it. Maybe they found something out, and they just didn't want to spread gossip for their leader, because they had, sometimes you treat someone like a king, you're humiliated that you find out that they're false. So you're not going to be like, oh, they're going to be kicked out because they're perverts. But it's like, it's none of my business. I immediately prayed, and within like 24 hours I got that email, and I was like, all this, and then I got a bunch of nasty Facebook messages, and several of these people, I said, I need to talk to you in person or on the phone and tell you what's really happening, who said what. I said, I am not going to gossip. I'm not going to write on Facebook who did this and who did that. I said, I need to talk to somebody. And they refused to talk to me. They're just like, get you and your kids to church now. And I was like, I need to talk to someone. And I contacted another lady that I felt was an ally. And she was just like, I'm too busy. I can't talk to you. We should talk. And this is all before this all exploded. She's like, we should talk, but I don't have time. I was like, okay. If you're honest about it. And that person's mom, another family had been really hostile with the pastors. And they said, they told the pastor, if you don't change your behavior, we're leaving in 3 months. And the pastor's like, why, if you're already planning that, then just don't come back. And this person had organized a whole bunch of stuff and been sick, and they're like, they betrayed us and all this stuff. It's like, you guys actually told them not to come back. And they saw that they had a meeting, the pastors were going to quit, and this lady, like, kind of adopted this family. Everyone felt sorry for people from out of town except for me. And I was the only one that was a single mom, no kids, no grandparents, nothing. It's like all the other people were couples, married couples that were male, female, and they had relatives always coming back and forth, and they were going back and forth to visit their relatives, and I didn't do any of that. I just stayed here in shelters and stuff all alone. But, like, someone had took them under their wing and had made all this big fuss and support, and they brought them back to a picnic, and it was just like, I was like, maybe someone will support me when they find out what happened to us, and not one person called us, not one person emailed us, not one person texted us. One lady called us, a homeless lady with no teeth, and I never gave her my phone number, so they gave her the phone number. And then, like, a few months later, somebody emailed me, I haven't seen you. I was like, I've been gone for like 3-4 months. I was like, thanks for noticing. I was just like, they told me not to come back, and that me and my kids will never fit in, so I stopped going. And she was like, I can't believe that. Like, it was like she didn't really believe it. And I know all those people, and the toothless lady went back to them and told them some clouded story, and I know they're going to stand in front and said that I'm gossiping about them. So I'm just telling this as a truth right now. I know what happened. I asked for support because I was in tears and felt betrayed, and they lied to me about proper tithe and offerings. They made fun of me. They scolded me. They were racist. They told me all this stuff that was racist about me and other races, a Hispanic and Asian. They told me this stuff, and I see who they really are. But when you're up on the pulpit, you want to be the image that you learn in Bible school, so that people can come back and pay them money in the offering plate. It's a business. And every church says, if you're not in church, then you're not following God. It's a business. If you're not in church, you're not helping them make millions of bucks. And there's a lot of mega churches, they don't make millions of bucks. Private ranch, swimming pools, multiple pools, jets, Rolls Royce. I see these people driving their Rolls Royce and all this stuff, and it's like, people aren't even paying their electric bill and all this stuff because they're being tricked into thinking if they don't give, then they're not part of the church and that God will not provide for them. You have to give when God tells you to give, and biblically speaking, you give your 10%. But if you're on welfare, maybe you give when God tells you. But if you got no money to pay your rent, you don't put yourself on the street because of it. You wait a few weeks and you ask God to give you a job so that you can properly tithe. You know what I mean? And it's all individual. If God tells you to tithe on your welfare, you do it. If God tells you to wait, then you wait. If God tells you to offer, you decide not to get a loaf of bread one day, and God tells you to offer that $2 or $3 to the offering, then you do it. You do it individually, and you do it biblically. But you don't do it because a human scams you. So I just wanted to say that I now, based on my past history of being able to be revealed of how they think about us and how they treated my other friends and how they gossiped about them. I say gossip because it's not necessarily telling the truth, and it may be that they tell the truth, but they go beyond that, and then they make stuff up to make this person look horrible. It's like one thing they come into a conclusion, they quit and they took their kids somewhere else. It's one thing for the individual people in the audience to come to a conclusion. It's another thing to start making up stuff. It's another thing if God, tells them, maybe you should be careful if you have a problem, come talk to us early on. They use that word fester and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, I can go back to my emails and my telephone records and see how many times I try to talk to them to say what people are telling me. They told me that I lied about it all. And the good Lord knows the truth. And I had it back down. That's like one of the few times I said, let go, let God. It's obvious that they didn't believe me. I never lied to them in my life. My biggest fault was being late for church. And the biggest reason I did live the farthest. And marathons and bike races and weird stuff like that. Construction, wrecks, all that stuff happens on Sunday. They don't know how many times I was late before the marathon. Like, we're going to leave an hour early or more. 2 hours early. And like 2-3 of us would get diarrhea with 1 or 2 bathrooms, and we'd be like freaking out, sick in the bathroom for half an hour. People, some kids would be puking or almost start a fire, have to clean up something. Or several times I was in deep prayer with or without my kids, or I was in the bathroom reading the Bible for an hour and didn't realize what time it was, and just being faithful to the Lord. Or sometimes we were making up Christian songs and we were writing it down and playing the guitar, and we realized, holy cow, church starts in 10 minutes. Several times we were in prayer circles, holding hands, praying for everyone at church, and praying for blessings, and then we'd end up late, and then they always tell us, the usher, I don't want to say any names, would always be like, like, what's the point of even coming? It's like, you're late. And then there's normal Sunday traffic. You forget. People all come back from vacation. The highway is completely clogged. Besides the marathons and the bike races, it's like we left an hour and a half early, and we're still late. We're still like 40 minutes late. And then don't even get me started on Wednesdays. We'd come from downtown into the next county, cross the river. It would take 2 to 3 hours to get to church sometimes, and we didn't have any food. Nothing. Just pick the kids up from daycare and sit in the car the whole time. We had no money to go to McDonald's or anything, and then by the time we got home it was 10 o'clock at night, and then we had to be back at school, leave at 7:30 the next morning. It was hard for little kids. It was hard, and they told you have to come. If you don't come, it's like you're a sinner, and God's not gonna take care of you and your family. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. It's like, God's not gonna take care of me. It's just like all lies. So I just feel like the first thing is between your relationship with yourself and how your relationship with God is. The second thing is, if you're Christian, you read your Bible and get to know that it's God's word and not a lie from the devil, and you read it inside and out, and you read it over and over and over again. And then you find a reputable pastor, and you read some books, or listen to some CDs, or watch some TV shows, but you don't watch them all the time. You spend more time in prayer directly with God. Worship, you listen to God every single day. Pray without ceasing. You read your Bible. Then occasionally, if you get a little bit like confused or like a little bit kind of fizzles out, you just watch a few of these reputable shows, not anything scamming. And if they tell you that you're going to go to hell because you don't go to church on Sunday, or because you missed one Sunday, then don't watch that guy and sell all his books. If you're having money trouble, get a book on money troubles. It doesn't even have to be a Christian book. Get one from the library or whatever. If you want to be an architect or you want to build your own home, get a book. It doesn't have to be a Christian book. And just ask God to clearly guide you what to do. Because you can be steered the wrong way with Christian teachings. I've heard some reputable preachers tell me the wrong thing, and I find out with my Bible reading that was the complete opposite of what the Bible says. And that their attitude is non-empathetic, and that they are righteous, self-righteous, think that I'm better than thou because I did this in my life and I did this and you didn't. So you have to be careful. And any good pastor would say that when I say something, ask God to guide you to make sure that I'm telling the truth, because I could be wrong, I could be mixed up. I'm only human, not God. So you have to do that. And then it's like, pray for a church, a Bible-believing church. Pray for fellowship. Pray for a place that you fit in. Maybe this place I left is a good place for some people, despite all of those illegal activities and false gossiping and all that stuff. Maybe it changed since I left. Maybe they realized what was really going on. Maybe they slapped that lady and told her to stop being a racist jerk. No, it's like, oh, sorry. But it's like, you ask God to guide you. And for me, we went from place to place to place. It was worse. And it's like, I gotta just like be prepared and go and watch the TV pastors and read my Christian books. The best one for me is Lori Wick, because she has the sermons in there, she's got the scriptures in there, she's got the behaviors in there, good and bad. She doesn't sugarcoat the bad stuff. She keeps, the people are real, they're living in sin, and there are other people that are living godly lives, and they're all buddies. They're not like, oh, well, we are church Christians and we can't hang out with this. Like, they come together and they support each other, and they're non-judgmental. She's been my best one, because she has a sermon, like, she'll put the whole sermon in there, like, a once a week sermon she'll put in her story as part of the story, but you're just like, you hear, like, this fictional pastor and his scriptures and the questions that the characters ask this person. It's like, it's almost like I'm there. It's almost like I'm sitting in the pew that Sunday morning with my horse waiting outside for me. You know, it's crazy. I just realized that my food is gonna harden. I will publish this, but I may make it private. I pray for this group of people that I was with. You can live in a neighborhood that's annoying, and you can move, and you could say, oh, this happened, but it doesn't mean I want anything bad to happen. It doesn't mean that they're even bad people. It just means I didn't fit in there, and I admit that I don't fit in there, or that something about it I outgrew and needed to have God move me up to a different place, or maybe my job there was done and I needed to go do a different job face to face with some other groups of people. So I definitely hope that you guys watch this part I'm saying right now. I don't want to judge those people. I don't want to say that they're bad. And there's a lot I learned about Bible and prayer and helping others that was not taught to me when I was a kid. Either I went to church most of the time when I was a kid too, but my parents didn't go, so there wasn't teaching at home. And I just want to say that I loved all those people. I actually miss those people. I miss the picnics. I miss doing work together, like painting and sanding and cleaning stuff out and having yard sale. I miss all of that. I miss teaching the Sunday school kids and playing with babies and changing diapers. They never let me change diapers. The lead teacher was just like, I don't know. I was like, I'm the one that worked at the daycare center. I'm like, I don't know. People judge me or something. They make up stories about me. But I was like, I'm not going to fight you to change a diaper. The only reason I want to change a diaper is because I actually clean the diaper pad and wash my hands afterwards, and you don't. And that's like, that's what I'm like, I'll change the baby's diaper because you nasty. And it's like, they had some kids get herpes because every one of them did from not cleaning the diaper pad, the public one. I read it in my class I took for daycare. Every kid got herpes on their butt. That nasty. But because I don't ever go away. I'm like, ew, poor baby. And it's like, all you just wipe it with a proper sanitizing technique. But I just, to tell you the truth, it's just like I said, we're teachers that people don't like and don't get along with. It's like, I've never been a teacher standing up in front of class, so I have little empathy, although my parents were, and it's like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know how hard it is, and that I don't want to be like telling them how awful they are, especially if they're new. But it's like, until I own my own church and stand in the pulpit and do this and have classes and try not to be stereotypical, judgmental towards people, then I can't really have a big say. But I know what happened to me, and I know where God led me away from them before me and my kids got even more hurt. And I just wanted to say, I had never planned to leave that place. I wanted to live there, be there till I died. And I was considering moving closer to them. And it just fizzled. It fizzled out, and it was like, cut the cord, you know. And I asked God if I should go back, and it was like, never. It's like, those people were treating you like garbage, and they know it, but they will not admit it, and they will not apologize, and they will not change towards me. And so that wasn't my place, and I pray that everything is good, that they have the kids in there, learning Bible stories and singing praises and having Christmas parties. I just pray that everything is okay, and I hope that I don't find that guy's name in the sexual predator list. Like, I hope that he stops that behavior. Because there's some behavior towards me. That's why I can honestly say that. I'm scared of that guy, and he's around children and babies and stuff. I just was like, my kids are not, either my boy or my girl's not going to be alone with that guy ever. For the rest of my life. So it's just like, and I never even really told anyone what happened to that. God knows all this stuff, so I don't need to reveal it. It is creepy. It's creepy. It's creepy. It's creepy. And you have to be careful, because some people say that pedophiles and stuff hide in churches, and they are very trusting and very trusting. Oh, a sound machine. Okay, I don't need that on. So I'm gonna post this because it's the truth, and I know that they altered the truth, and that I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I just want other people to be okay with knowing that if you have any inkling, even at your job or in your apartment, with a marriage, ask God to guide you. And you can do pros and cons and do human thinking, that I'm an idiot for going to college and being analytical about stuff. But it's like, you can do pros and cons, but ultimately ask God. Like, put it on a piece of paper and say, lift it up in prayer and say, God, am I overreacting to this? And if he says, no, you're not overreacting, cut your ties with these people immediately, then that's what you need to do. Straight up. And so that's what I'm going to do. And actually, I still had to cut some ties. So I feel really bad that I'm saying this stuff, and I really, like I said, I miss being a part of that group, but it was not my cup of tea anymore. And I have found similar people in the city with their noses up in the air, excluding me and my kids, and it's heartbreaking, because that is not following Jesus the way that the word Christian means. And it sickens me. It sickens me, and I pray that I can find a place that is supportive, because I want to go. I want to go. I don't not want to go. I want to go.